welcome to Herbology. I'm Professor Griselda Grubb, and I'm glad to see all you new students. Today we're going to be talking about some of these plants that are in front of me on the table here. We're going to learn a little bit about them, and after that we are going to get to know each other. We'll have a little fun today. We won't get down to our actual serious learning until our next class. Now I want you to know, these different plants, if I were to have the real plants here, there would be a fight. They just do not get along together. So with that in mind, I have brought a model of each of these plants. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Now the plant at the end here is called a Calcutta Screaming Rose. Now that's called a screaming rose, not because it screams. It's called that because people who see it tend to scream. Now it grows in magical forests. You can see it looks like a normal purple rose, but inside it has a structure that looks very like a human eye. And as you walk by that plant in the forest, all of those eyes just seem to follow you. So it's very creepy. Now the plant itself is not a danger to humans. It's actually a very nosy plant. And it has the ability, because it has very short roots, that as you walk by, if it's interested in you, it'll pull those roots out of the ground and creep along behind you. And if you sense something and you turn around, it'll instantly freeze. So it's very creepy. Its main use is as a very strong scent, sweet scent, and it's used to make a very popular witch's perfume. The next plant is called pixie skulls. And that's because if you look close at these flowers, they almost looks like a little white skull in the middle of them. And they're used to treat extreme cases of manic depression, psychoses, because they produce a feeling of extreme sobriety in people. And actually that's very disconcerting for a lot of people. The next plant is called a Chinese chomping cabbage. Now this is an elongated type of cabbage, but it has the added feature of a very large set of teeth inside. Now that is capable of biting anything that comes within range of it, and after it's harvested, it can creep along the ground and go find something to eat by itself. Now luckily for humans, its favorite food is carrots. So that's usually what it's looking for. So as long as there's carrots available, there's no danger. This is the main ingredient in a very popular potion called Skelegro, and that grows back human bones. And it's also an ingredient in a lot of Chinese noodle dishes. This next one is called a bubo tuber. Now this is really a disgusting plant. You see these yellow bumps on it? These are called pustules. And what you have to do, you have to squeeze those bumps, and you get something out of them called bubo tuber pus. Now that's what's in this little vial here. This is undiluted bubo tuber pus. If you were to get this pus on your hands, anywhere on your skin, it would cause a very painful rash. But the secret is, you add just a touch of dittany, little bit of extract of bruised lip tulip, you can make a lovely bubo tuber salve that's just excellent for treating skin conditions such as acne. Now this next plant is a fanged geranium, and you can see why it has that name. Each of these blossoms has a full set of teeth, including fangs. And this is a very dangerous plant. It's very moody. If it does not get the exact amount of water it wants, the exact temperature of water it wants, the exact brand of bottled water it wants. It actually prefers Perrier lately. Everything is not exactly the way it wants it to be. It's going to give you a very nasty bite. And I like to keep these plants in the greenhouses because it teaches the students that plants can be sentient. Now that means they have a sense of themselves. They know what they like, what they don't like. And I feel that's very important for students to learn early on. The plant itself is mainly used for potions, for scouring and cleaning. The next one here is a very popular plant called the mandrake. It's a very dangerous plant. Now, even though this is just a model, I've made a point to put a little gag around his mouth, and that's just to emphasize to everyone how very dangerous a mandrake can be. And it doesn't matter how much you think you know about them. Now, if you were to hear one this age, this is a young one, if you were to hear him scream, he could put you to sleep for maybe 4 or 5 hours. But if he were fully grown, he could kill you instantly. And like I say, it does not matter how much you think you know. Our very first female minister of magic many years ago was a lovely lady by the name of Venusia Crickerly. She was a very powerful witch. She specialized in herbology. She had a lovely garden at her home. One afternoon, she was found dead in that garden, and it was ruled that it was a freak mandrake accident. So all of her knowledge, all of her power did not save her. So I want all of you students to remember this. Never be around a mandrake unless it has a gag or you are wearing a very high quality set of earmuffs. Next plant here in this jar is called gillyweed. Now this is what Harry Potter uses to breathe underwater. If you eat a little of this gillyweed for 2 hours, you will develop gills in your neck to enable you to breathe underwater, and your hands and your feet will become elongated, almost like a flipper, so you can swim better. The plant is always also used as a flavoring in a very popular wizard drink called gilly water. I have a real problem with the next plant. That's called leaping toadstools. And I refuse to have those in my greenhouses. They're awful. They're running all over. They're on the floor. You're stepping on them. They're slimy. You're sliding. It's awful. People that don't mind all that trouble, though, say they make a very nice potion for treating arthritis and rheumatism. I don't think they're worth it. The next plant here is called Amimbulus mimbletonia, and it's a kind of spineless cactus. Now that was a plant that was given to Neville Longbottom as a gift, and he was very proud of it. It has a lot of magical qualities, one of which is a defensive mechanism that if it feels threatened or it gets poked, it's going to spit something called stink sap all over the person that's threatening it. And it is highly undesirable and highly stinky. The stink sap actually has some properties that are helpful, though. Also, the plant, when it's fully matured, emits a kind of soft crooning noise that's very soothing. And they like to keep that plant in places like St. Mungo's Hospital for magical maladies. They like to keep that in the wards there because it calms the patients down. It de-stresses them. And the last plant today is a dirigible plum. Now that's a plant that just grows wild all around Luna Lovegood and her dad's house. And what it does is it helps you believe in extraordinary things. The more plants there are, the more you're in contact with them, the stranger and stranger the things you're going to believe. And when you think about it, that kind of explains Luna and her dad a little bit. That's a very popular fruit. It's very tasty. But you have to remember, as soon as you pick it, if you're not going to eat it immediately, you have to seal it into a tightly closed container. Because it has the ability for 2 hours, it can just float away and you'll never see it again. Now the seeds inside the actual plum are used to make hallucinatory potions. It has a very thick stem. That wood is used to make wands that have the ability to just rise out of the hands of anyone except the rightful owner. So you can see all of these plants have their own interesting qualities, and we're going to be learning a lot more about them in the coming year.